everybody. This is Annie with The Right Review, and I am here with Michael Higgins. We used to have a show, which we're going to be bringing back, called Book and Wine Tasting, because he makes the most beautiful coffee table books, is what I call them. But it's just chock full of like gorgeous, gorgeous photos and gorgeous locations, gorgeous wineries, and gorgeous writing with different stories. Diane Allen is here. Hi, Diane. Nice to see you from Texas. She says hello, Michael.
Hi, Diane. How are you today?
So, Michael and I have been trying to get together for what seems like forever, and it appears that he brings me bad luck because every
Well,
I'm
that's
just
good to
kidding.
know.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I tend to be in the hospital on the days that we have something planned. So it's nice that I'm here today. Beautiful. My son is a winemaker in Walla Walla, Washington.
Good
That's
profession.
that's really cool. I don't know who this is, so if you could put a dash with your name, since you haven't given Facebook permission to tell us who you are. They're saying hello. And great. Need to learn the wine. She loves wine. Okay, so I
Great.
learned there's more to wine than it being boxed. I have learned I
That's a
have
good
learned
discovery.
well, no, I'm joking. I have learned by reading these books, so many different things go into each bottle of wine, each different bottle of wine. So I want Michael to talk about that. But of course, we're going to talk about his most recent release, which is California. I mean, he has France, Bordeaux, and then he
Correct.
has my
Argentina.
favorite, which is Argentina. I mean, let's be. Oh, it's Jacob. You need to interview him, Jacob, because you would love talking to him. This is Jacob Marquez. He's over at Reading Corner.
Hi,
Anyway,
Jacob.
so thank you for being here, everybody. I'm very excited because we all know how I have a love affair with France, okay? But I love Malbec wine from Argentina. That's my favorite wine.
It's incredible.
So I'd like to, I know we're going to discuss California, but I do want to know what makes Argentinian Malbec so wonderful, because it definitely is different. Um, my friends went there for their honeymoon and brought a bottle back, and it was like everywhere I go, it's like Malbec, Argentinian Malbec. If they don't have Argentinian, I'm like, no, but they usually do. So
It's so
let's
good.
thank you, Michael, for being here. And I heard that you've won awards for this book already.
Oh my gosh, I think the book is already up to 8 awards.
I
And this
mean,
is for and all the awards are not out yet. So I'm looking forward to hopefully more. The last book won 10, so I have this goal that I have to do 11 or more.
right,
That's
right.
the
That's a
last
wonderful
book.
goal to have. I mean, it's so wonderful. So tell me, what got you started, and not only in this profession, but in these books?
Wow. Okay. So I used to be in the magazine business. I published Flying Adventures Magazine, which is a lifestyle travel magazine for people who own and travel on private airplanes. And
Oh,
I'm a
wow.
pilot, so I fly on planes, and that's what
You're a
got me.
pilot too?
I
That's
am.
right. I
And so
knew
that's
that.
that's why I started this magazine, because aviation magazines are like hardware magazines, like car magazines or hardware magazines. I wanted lifestyle and travel, so I created this and built it to like 1 million readers. I mean, it's just an exciting experience for me. But my
Yeah.
second editor in chief did not drink. Yes. And, people who have planes are into the food and wine experience. So we had food and wine in every issue. So guess who raised his hand? Well, it's my
You.
magazine, so I can raise my
Yes,
own
yes.
hand. So that's how I got into the wine business, because now I'm traveling to wine regions, creating the stories that go into the magazine. And then ultimately, I got tired of deadlines, because with magazines, you got to get the next one and the next one. So I gave my
No matter
magazine,
what.
I
Right.
gave magazine to my staff, and I took off to Argentina.
That's fab. So
And I
Argentina.
went there for your purpose because I want to know why the Malbec was so good.
That's
And
hysterical.
and the entrepreneur in me said, you know what? We're going to create a book series. And Argentina was first.
That's
That's how it
fabulous.
happened.
They're beautiful, beautiful books.
Thank
And
you.
for so many reasons. Not only are you learning about thank you, Diane, for the comment. Not only to learn about the wine, but to see the pictures, to see the food, to see the locations be such a huge character in the book. It's I know it's not a novel, but the location being like California, but you have it divided. Like I was addicted to the caramel location.
Hmm.
Um, because from what I understand, that's a very close knit community. It's kind of small. Everybody knows everybody. And I said, there's wineries there too. Because they have this huge art
True.
fraction there.
Well, people go there. That whole Monterey Bay is so beautiful. The bay is beautiful. One of the most famous golf courses is there. And even myself going there, I never really connected the dots of the wine regions. But here's the most amazing thing. The number of vineyards in Monterey are equal, like acres, to that in Napa Valley.
Wow, you're
It's
kidding.
substantive. It's huge.
Oh
The
wow.
weather there is cold, so the primary grapes are the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir.
Oh.
And there's the Santa Lucia Highlands, which is super famous for Pinot Noir. It's incredible Pinot Noir, and that's there in Monterey.
Pinot Noir, like I'm kind of dumb because Pinot that's the red, right?
It's red, yes. It's a
Okay, okay.
light red. It's from Burgundy, France. In fact, both Chardonnay and Pinot Noir come from Burgundy, France. It's where the grapes' home is.
Wow.
And Champagne too.
I was gonna say I found it very intriguing when I learned that like champagne was legitimately from France.
Well, you know what? If it's not grown in that little region of Champagne, you
It's
can't
not
call it
good.
champagne. I
I
mean, they have
know.
the trademark. That's their name, that's their region. It's just like Bordeaux wine. I mean, you grow your grapes, the typical 5 grapes of Bordeaux, and that's how you have a Bordeaux wine. But
Wow.
the rest of the world wants those grapes. So here in California, we have Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir and the Cabernet Sauvignon and the Merlot and the Malbec and the Cabernet Franc. These are all French grapes that we're growing, and the rest of the world's growing too because they're good.
Right. And
The French have
seeds
proven it.
and everything could be, be sent over from places, right? You
Yeah,
just have to have the right weather temperament for it because I mean that's what I learned when I did a tour of the ones we have out here on Long Island. It's so difficult to grow these grapes to perfection, and I didn't know it was, so hard. It was very you learn a lot. So are you considered a sommelier?
I am not.
Okay.
Sommelier is someone who is an expert at pairing food and wine, oftentimes work at restaurants to really help make the experience amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
I hear it's
I'm a travel lover. I love to
right.
travel. I love to
Right.
go to wine regions. I love food. I mean, I'm living the life of food, wine, travel, cultures, people, and I'm sharing it with everybody else.
I know when you send me pictures like, "Oh, I'm having breakfast." It's just like, "Oh my god, he's in heaven. He's in heaven." Not only
I
is the food
am.
glorious, but the view.
Yes.
It's just outstanding. Um,
Grapes are very intelligent. Did you know that?
Intelligent. Okay.
Intelligent. Think about this.
Why? Okay.
They live in the most beautiful places in the world.
You want to come back as a grape.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
Yes.
It's so funny. Like we always have grapes in our fridge. And
Yes.
yesterday we got like they're big and firm and oh my god to bite into it because I learned how to bite into it properly and get all of the juice out of it.
Yeah.
instead of just noshing on it.
Right. Is it
There's like a
savoring it?
way. Yes, there's a way to
Yes.
savor the grape, which is very interesting. Up,
Well,
Janet's
you know
here with
what? This is the reason why you want to travel to wine regions, especially like in September and October, well, in the northern hemisphere for harvest, because eating the grapes off the vines, wine grapes, you should try Malbec right off the vine.
Oh, I would
It's
die.
incredible.
I think I might pass out.
You would. I
Janet,
did.
I'm going to bring that up in a second. Um, I told you the story about the winery where they took us around and we were trying the different grapes, and I wanted to
Yeah.
try a very special grape. So I learned that's where I learned how to eat the grape if I want to taste what would probably most likely be the closest way to tasting like the wine, which I found very interesting. I was like, I didn't know there was a different way to eat a grape. But one day we'll have to do an example. I'm just kidding. Because
We
it's
could
kind of
actually.
weird how you eat the grape.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, let me just tell you what Janet is saying. Hi, Janet. Thanks for joining us. She says Cabernet. Oh, Syrah. Is I say that right?
Yep, Syrah, Cabernet
That's
Sauvignon, Syrah, and Merlot
Syrah.
from Red
That was
Mountain.
the new one. That's fairly new. That was well compared to when I was drinking at the wineries back in 2008. Syrah was like a new one back then.
Well, it must be new there because Syrah has
Yes.
been around a long,
No,
long.
no, no,
It's
no. New
originally
to
from the Rhone Valley in France.
Oh wow. Yeah, new to Long
And what
Island
she's
for
saying,
sure.
it's been in Vancouver for a
It
long
is
time. Look at 1825.
1825.
That's a
Wow.
long time.
Yeah, that's a very long time. No, I'm saying I think that that's the grape that I was like, oh, can I please go taste the grape? Because it was a new wine for them. Oh,
Oh, must be.
you do have to do a video because now I'm interested. Okay, I'll make a video of how you have to eat the grape
Okay. Well, you know something? There's also the way a winemaker eats the grapes because when they go into the
to test.
vineyards trying to decide when harvest is, they're breaking open that grape. They're eating it. They're looking at the seed, because they want to see that the seed is ripened. They're tasting it. It's
Through
an
the
important
skin.
part, right? The
Yeah.
skin, the whole thing, and then they run measurements on it, like sugar measurements, to see what the sugar content is, because that has a big to do with the harvest time.
Wow. So as the grape grows, different levels of sugar are in it.
Correct.
Interesting.
If you eat a grape that's young, it's not sweet, not even
You're
close.
right.
It's not, because it's just like everything else. So think about a peach. If the peach is not ripe, it's not sweet. It's the same thing. The fruits keep getting sweeter and sweeter. That's why when you see something called a late harvest wine, that's
Okay.
because it was left later on the vines. So it's a late harvest. And
Oh,
so it's sweeter. It becomes a sweeter wine. A late harvest wine is a sweet wine because of that.
that's so interesting. Did everybody hear that? Late harvest wine is going to be sweeter. I love that. That's
Yes.
really interesting. Because some people like a dry wine, some people like a sweet wine, some
It's all
people
out
like, and some people like a dessert wine.
there.
I don't. I'm not a port person. Are you?
I drink port from time to time.
I'm sure you drink it all, don't you?
I do. I really do.
Do you have a favorite? My glasses keep falling. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I think I drink more Cabernet Sauvignon than anything else.
Really?
I do. But it's not
Wow.
necessarily my favorite. I mean, Cabernet is big, bold red, and I love Pinot Noir, which is a light red.
Right.
So what a
I,
contrast there, right?
well, I literally went from Merlot to Cabernet Sauvignon, the red one.
Hmm.
That's not the red one. What's the red one?
Cabernet Sauvignon is red.
Yeah. Okay. Cabernet Sauvignon to the Malbec.
Okay. See,
So I've
Malbec is so
always
good.
been in love with red. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't mind a spritzer, but then it's like people are like, why you're ruining the wine. But I think it doesn't ruin the wine. The wine makes it better. Let's see. We're learning from, of course, Janet is a historical fiction writer, so she is giving us history lessons. The, the
Okay.
British Hudson Bay's Company started. It went, I remember this company. It went away when the Americans took over in the 1850s. It's our volcanic ash rock is very conducive to vineyards to grow. Wow.
Mhm.
There's a new vineyard near the old Vancouver site. That's interesting.
You know, there
Interesting.
are a lot of places in the world where vines are grown on volcanoes.
I did not know that.
Talking about that, you know, you think of Sicily, you know, in Italy. It's
Yes,
a
my
big
parents lived
volcano,
there.
and there's vines growing up the volcanoes. Greece also, Greece, you know, you think of those islands and the volcanoes, and some of them are active, and the vineyards are growing right there. In fact, you know what? You know, California is my current book, and
Yeah.
my next book is on Mexico, which is being edited right now. It'll be printed in a couple
Mexico.
of months and comes out in October. And then the book after that is Greece. And so Greece has a lot of volcanoes and volcanic soil that their grapes are grown on. So I will be exploring all that and putting a book together on traveling in
That's
Greece,
going
drinking the
that's going to
wine.
be fun.
No
I mean,
kidding.
I mean, Greece is gorgeous too.
Right.
When my glasses keep falling, it's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. Um, I find that a book on Mexico is going to be very interesting because when I think of Mexico, I think tequila. I
Well, they're
I
known for
I do,
tequila,
right. So I don't think
but you know, their
wine.
wines are really good.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like you're bringing stuff to the forefront that I didn't even know about. I mean, even when you watch these shows and people are in Mexico, from Mexico, I don't see anyone drinking wine. So tell me, which is the best wine from Mexico?
Well, it depends on the place. Remember, you were talking about the weather.
Yes.
There's a term called terroir, and terroir includes weather, but it also includes the soil. It's the land, the weather, the climate, all the factors that a plant grows in. And if you think of California being a really great wine state, like my current
Now,
book on the Central
right.
Coast, is that's right, exploring wine regions, Central Coast of California.
And that's his Facebook page for the books. Explore. Yes.
exploringwineregions.com or facebook.com/exploringwineregions.
And we're
But
playing over there too. So hello everybody.
so it's really important, the Pacific Ocean, because it's very cold and the valleys get hot and it creates this temperature range, what we call a diurnal
Oh.
temperature. It's a large temperature range. And in Mexico, Baja, Mexico, which is just south of California, it's Baja, California, they have a valley called Valle de Guadalupe, and they have the same terroir in terms of this weather because of the cold ocean and the hot valley. So this whole up and down California includes Mexico, and Valle de Guadalupe is an incredible place for wine. It's a big part of my next book. The food there is amazing. You would just be surprised how good it really is.
Oh yeah. Well, the food. I was in California once, like near Calexico, and of course, going there, my eardrum ruptured. So I had to stay an extra 3 weeks at my brother's new in law's house while he went on his honeymoon. I didn't know who they were, but I had to stay. So I had to go to the doctor there, and everything was in Spanish. It was fine. So did that, and then they said we're going to cross the border to Mexico to get your medicine. It's less expensive. And I said, yeah, I'm not crossing the border to Mexico. I've seen enough movies. We're going to be arrested and I'll come back. I was terrified to go to Mexico. But we went,
Yeah. And it's
and
not so bad, is it?
no, but
Not at all.
the food was outrageous.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I really have not ever had Mexican food.
Hmm.
We all think we're eating it, but we're not. It's not the same thing. Unless you're going to like a family owned restaurant, like somebody people from Mexico own it and they're making the food. Big difference in the food.
You know,
So I would love to try the wine.
some of these restaurants, because it's not just Mexican food. I mean, of course, you can get Mexican food in Mexico,
Right.
but in Valle de Guadalupe, there are restaurants, and many of these wineries have incredible restaurants. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you it's like being in a Michelin star restaurant in Manhattan, down the street from you, or in Beverly Hills at 75% off because the prices are great, the food is
I
amazing,
know.
and then you've got the great wine to go with it, and the beautiful, beautiful valley.
I mean, it was like 2 tacos for $1. Like, I'll never forget. And I'm just using that as an example. I'm just throwing that out there. That I was shocked at the pricing. All right, so we have some comments here. Okay, Diane likes the sweet fruity type.
Moscato. Yeah.
Moscato. We haven't mentioned Moscato. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Tex-Mex. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, family-owned ones have true food. It's so true. True.
Tasted good Moscato in Mexico.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is so let's go to California.
Okay, California. Okay, wait, we can do both at the same time.
Yes,
How's
it's
that?
hard to get it there. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll take a screenshot later. Okay, 1 second. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, so I can take a screenshot.
Wait a second. I wasn't looking at the camera. Do it again.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Was that good?
That was perfect. You look very good. So
Thank you.
tell me, in your
California book.
going around, in your travels around California, which was your most favorite place to be?
That's impossible to answer.
Oh,
Because
is
it's
it?
so good. So I'll tell you where it's. Oh my God, isn't that incredible? That is in Paso Robles. Incredible. It's a Justin winery.
How do you remember this? It's just.
So the Central Coast, for people who may want to know, is south. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Yes. Right. That's San Luis Obispo County.
Yes. Okay. Answer your question because I'm getting excited.
South of San Francisco is Monterey County. Then south of that is San Luis Obispo County, which includes Paso Robles. They're in San Luis Obispo County. And south of that is Santa Barbara County. Those are the 3 counties that are in this book. So north of Los Angeles, south of San Francisco, all along the coast. And they're growing all types of grapes. So you can get anything you want. We talked about Monterey, which is very cold, and most of the grapes there are those cold weather grapes like the Pinot and the Chardonnay. And then when we get into San Luis Obispo, you have the cold of the coast for those grapes, and then you have the inland Paso Robles for the big Bordeaux wines, Rhone wines, Zinfandel, incredible wines coming from there. And that's where those pictures of that restaurant came from, the Justin Winery. And then south of that in Santa Barbara is kind of a unique place because the mountain.
You're not in the camera. Move over.
Okay, I'm back.
Thank you.
So in Santa Barbara, the mountain range runs east and west. Mountain ranges go north and south. This is an east and west. So it opens up the valley to the ocean. And the ocean comes right in, the cold, moist air comes in. So the first part of that valley, which is the Santa Rita Hills, is cold, perfect for the Pinot Noir and the Chardonnay.
Yes.
And then when you get in the middle of that valley, which is called the San Ynez Valley, it's really good for the Rhone wines. That's the Syrah that you were talking about earlier. And then the far east end of the valley, where it gets to be the hottest, is good for Bordeaux. That's where the Cabernet Sauvignon is amazing.
See, that's very interesting.
You have it all in one place, so you can really experience the whole thing in one trip.
Right. Long Island's like that too. So I'm wondering, does the water, being near the water, have something to do with the wineries?
Absolutely. Well, not the wineries, but the vineyards.
And that's
what I was saying earlier about Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico.
Wineries.
They have the same thing that's in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo and Paso Robles and Monterey, the influence of the cold ocean.
Okay. That's interesting to know. And I like how it goes. It seems to go white, like the lighter reds, than to the red. like the further away from the water you get. Is
because
that
it's
true?
hotter. Because it's
Because it's
hotter.
hotter.
See, you have
That's
to grow the
interesting.
right grapes in the right place. In fact, one of the big things I do in this book, this California book,
Oh, I'm going to show
is
us
I
something.
talk about terroir a lot. And the reason I do is because if you want to drink really good wine, you want to know where the grapes were grown. Because you
That
can really grow any grape anywhere. But if you
that's
want high
true.
quality, you need to put it in the right place. And if you know where that is, you're going to get better wines. That's really an important part of drinking better wines. And
Right.
I do a lot of detail of that in my book.
You do. You're very detailed. I'm trying to look for a certain page, but I love how the distinction between winery and vineyard, right?
Yes, that's right.
I didn't even think about that because when I did my tour of the vineyards out here, which are wineries too, um, we went to one and we were like, but they're not growing anything here. What's going on? But they were getting their wine from a vineyard, I guess. That's
So
interesting.
that is a
All that
winery
time,
that's buying their grapes from somebody else and bringing it in and making wine.
I didn't know that. See, and they don't tell you that. All right, let's hear what Jana has to say now. Can you read it, Michael?
I can. So, due to climate change, the Walla Walla region is seeing growers from California coming up and buying out vineyards as it's becoming too hot. It's hot in eastern Washington too, but cold winters.
That's interesting. So is it that it can't grow in hot? It feels like Mexico's hot.
Well, the second two wine. So I have three wine regions in my Mexico book: Valle de Guadalupe. Then I have Guanajuato and Querétaro. And Guanajuato and Querétaro are in the middle of Mexico, north of Mexico City, in the mountains. As in, the elevation is like 6,000 feet and up.
Wow.
So the elevation is what cools it off so that it's not hot Mexico. So think of
Got
the
it.
elevation. So how one, it keeps it from getting too hot because of the elevation. Second thing is at night it does get cold. So you get that
It's
range of
cold.
heat to cold. And it's closer to the sun, so it gets more of the sun on the skins, and the skins are an important part of the wine because that's where the color and the tannins and so forth come from. It's really a great place. It's worth
Yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah. That's really cool.
And this book's coming out next. In fact, you know what's funny? I'm just surprised how smart Amazon is. They're already pre-selling that book, and it's not coming out till October. It's not even
Well,
printed
you're so
yet.
yeah, I mean, a true marketer knows you're supposed to start doing that.
And
At
that's what they're
least
doing.
at least 6 months in advance. Yes, and that's wonderful. That's a great idea. And I should have a copy of it by now.
Well, I don't even have one. I don't even have a copy.
Well, when
You'll
I
get a
mean when
copy when it comes out,
oh, I know, I'm very excited. So
but you know
this
what?
is
A lot of people like an autographed book. And if they come to my website, which is exploringwineregions.com, I can autograph it and not just sign my name, but I can say,
inscribe
to
it.
your historian here, dear Janet, right? I could say something nice to her and sign it right in the front of the book.
Let's see what you say to me.
Oh, what did I write? Ooh, well, you're one of those special people.
Oh, I love you. Dear Annie, cheers to your many wine and travel adventures, Michael.
Yes.
I talk about wine. When we first met, I wasn't disabled and I was going around to all of these wineries. I was doing things with wine. I was really into it, but it kind of changes when you can't do that. So, I do order wine. Now they can deliver it to you, which
And I
I
guess you
love.
can experience the vineyard by reading my book.
Well, I
You
do.
can see
I
what it
mean, you
looks
take
like
me.
and
You
experience it.
take. Oh, I made me lose that page. Oh man, I was looking for that page forever. I found it, and now I went to the
Were
inscription.
you asking me if I take the pictures? I take all the pictures.
Oh my
I think the
god,
California book has 800 photographs, 800 color photographs.
they're glorious. Some of them you want to cut out and frame, which is ridiculous because I'll
But
never do that. But they're
you
so.
could.
I mean, I could. I mean,
Yeah.
the way
Boy,
the
don't they
light
look
is
yummy?
coming through it, but there's more. Hold on, hold on.
Oh,
The
there's
way
so many.
the
I don't
way
even
the
know if I
light,
have a favorite, you know?
I
There's
don't know,
so.
but I love this one
Oh, yes. Wow. That's in San Luis
with
Obispo.
with the building and then the mountain in the back that you just spoke about the mountains. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
find that one page. Hold on one second. This one. So for each location, you have created this really cool chart.
Oh, yes, that's right. So I put the winery, I say how many wines they have, what kind of wines, like red wines,
And
white
it's
wines,
checked
sparkling
off. Yes.
wines. And then I also put in there, whether they have gift shops, whether they have food, if they have a restaurant, if they have food and wine pairing, what kind of, they have entertainment. I mean, so that way in one page, you can see everything and know what you want to do.
And you can make a plan for
You
your
can make a
trip.
plan.
Yes,
That
I
page
mean,
is a
I was
lot of
fast.
work.
I can imagine. I
It's
can
crazy.
imagine. But
But
I mean, it's like
I
who do
think it's
you,
really worth it.
it's definitely worth it because 100% you know this is truth,
Right.
right? Whereas when you're googling things,
You don't know.
I have learned through the years, don't Google anything. Google, certain things like dictionary words is okay. But when you want to know something, things change. It's just, and who's giving you the information, right?
Every place in this book I went. I went there,
That's
I
what,
experienced it.
yes.
If I didn't experience it, I don't write about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. And also you get to know the people. Okay. I need you to read it because my eyes are
Okay, I
bad.
went
I'm
to
sorry.
Organic Vineyard in Provence. That's France, by the way.
Yeah.
They had permission from France to begin a drip in the vineyard. Not sure what she means by a drip in the vineyard. Oh, where they're able to irrigate. So due to
Okay.
drought, so many saying hot, lack of water, which places are facing. See, in
Okay.
France, you're not allowed to irrigate.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, here in California, since we're dry, if you don't irrigate, you don't have vineyards. But
Right.
they're not allowed to irrigate. They have to work with Mother Nature and what it brings. And sometimes it brings too much water at the wrong time. I mean, I think the French have become incredibly good winemakers because they're dealing with such extremes sometimes, in the way they have to grow their grapes.
I mean, I think we just need to bring Janet on. I mean, come on.
It's about territoire. I don't know what territoire
Well,
is. I wonder if she's
Janet,
trying to
what are you
say terroir.
doing?
It
And
might be
you're teaching
terroir.
us a lot of stuff. I love it, Janet. Your picture is there right now. It's so great to see you. She made me this beautiful book angel. Um, it's which I love. Um, and her she's an author. I said it's Women's History Month.
Yes.
So for that, so Janet is an author that I highly recommend, especially if you love historical fiction. She really loves writing about, like, I think it's Norwegian um stories. Am I correct there, Janet? The titles are very original, so I don't know them by heart. But like anyway, so I recommend Janet, and she's won a lot of awards too. She's misspelling what she's trying to say.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was
So
trying to
that's what
spell terroir. Oh, that's one of my favorite pictures. Isn't that great
I
with the tractor
love
going down
this
that hill?
picture.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Diane, you must read a book by Janet, and you will want to read them all. Um, they're they're very interesting, and they speak of times that um a lot of things we don't know about. So that's really interesting.
Another one
So,
of my favorite pictures. Look at this. Let's see if I can. I have to
oh
back up here.
wow, yes,
This is
yes,
in a
yes.
cave in Paso Robles, the Eberly Winery. And Gary Eberly
That is
loves
so,
standard poodles.
that's so cool.
So
You
the
can see.
poodles hang out at the winery. And when I was down in the cave, they went with me. I got a
Oh,
tour by the poodles, and they are the most adorable, most adorable.
you are
And
so
by the
cute with your.
way,
You're so cute with your head below it. Talk.
yeah,
I love it. That was so cute.
you were talking about Syrah. Gary Eberly is the one who brought Syrah and to Paso Robles and made it famous there. He's the real
Wow,
pioneer of Syrah.
that's
And he
amazing.
also makes an incredible Cabernet Sauvignon. I mean, I personally love his Cabernet Sauvignon a lot. And he
Okay,
is,
so
and you can get a tour into those caves. So when you go to the winery, you know what? He doesn't charge a tasting fee
wow.
because he believes the people will be generous back. And they
That's.
have,
I mean, I think
and
that's
he
very
does a
true.
great sales. People buy wines all the time, but you can go there, taste the wines. You can get a tour of the vineyards, tour of the caves, and Gary's there every day, and so are the poodles. And by the way, the poodles all have wine names. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Those two. One of them's name is Barbera.
Aw,
It's in the caption. I can't remember the other poodle's name, but you know what? It's anyways. He's had poodles all his life, and
I
he
just love
always
it.
names them after grapes, wine
That's
grapes.
so cute. That's
Yes.
really cute. You know, it's so much fun naming the animals, the dogs, like when they come in from the rescue. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to mention, we're gonna have to have a wine litter.
A
Because
wine litter. That's
I
good.
don't, yeah, well, because they usually do that. Like Sullivan, everybody was named with an S.
Yes.
They do stuff like that.
I
Um,
love showing up at a winery and all of a sudden there's a cute dog running out of the vineyard, because
or a cat,
lots of them have dogs in their vineyards.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
or and cats too. Because
And
I've
cats, right.
Yes, yeah, I've seen
Cats
cats.
are really good because
They keep
they'll
the
eat
mice.
they'll eat like the rodents and stuff. They're going to be digging away in the vineyard.
100%. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I mean, I was like, "What's up with all these cats?" And they're
Oh,
like, they
cats in
keep
the
putting.
cellars because
Yeah,
mice go in the cellars and rats. Well, the cats take care of that problem.
yep. One. It's so fun.
Yes.
Yeah, who knew? I mean, who knew, right? Because like I only have domesticated, so it's just like I don't think. I think if they saw, no, they probably know what to do, but I think they might say, what's that?" Because they don't have to hunt or do anything like that. But it's very interesting.
There's no
Uh,
freeloaders.
there
Yeah.
isn't. There isn't. Um,
Yes.
very cool. So tell me, when you're taking your photographs,
Okay.
there's wonderful photographs of the vineyards with the lines, which are just glorious.
Thank
Then
you.
you have like this in the cave, and then you have pictures of like the building,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Um, then you have pictures of the food and people eating. So, which are your favorite to take?
To take. Well, the first answer to your question is my favorite part of producing the book is the photography.
Okay.
I write it because I have to, because you can't do it without words.
Right, 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 right.
And apparently, people love how I write, and I write these really great
But
stories about
you
these places. But the photography is really my love. I love doing the photography.
but your pictures do speak volumes of words. Your writing is it is beautiful. It's also it
A
makes you
picture's
want to
worth a
go.
thousand words, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So like your pictures are very evocative to like when you're going around a museum
yeah.
and you're stopping and you're looking at a picture and a painting or what a picture, a painting, whatever. And then like four of you are all standing there talking about it. It's just, it's like I
Mhm.
didn't think I'd ever become that kind of person, that person. But it ends up that's what
It's
something I
interesting,
love to
isn't it?
do. It's Yes, it is. And every single one of your photos could be up on a wall in a gallery.
Well, thank you.
And
You
have
know,
they been
what's that?
have they been in a gallery yet?
They have, yes,
Ah,
and people put them on their walls. I sign them. I mean, I've done lots of things with my photographs. But you know, when
see,
I go to a winery or when I'm traveling, I only go to one winery a day because I want to
and
focus on that winery. I spend time in the vineyard, in the winery. I hang out with the owner, the vintner, or the winemaker, the agronomist, and if they have a restaurant, the chef, and the sommelier, and it's a whole experience for the whole day, so I can really capture what that winery is all about.
right. That's really cool because I do know that you get to know. You called him a vintner.
A vintner is like the owner of a winery,
Okay, I love
not
learning
necessarily a
names.
winemaker. Sometimes they're both, and sometimes they hire, a great winemaker.
Right, that's really cool. Um, do people go? I know. Oh, Patty's here. Hi, Patty. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Look at your picture. It's
Hi, Patty.
beautiful. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, lots of wonderful people here. So when what I was going to ask a question. Um, when you're at the winery and let's
Yeah.
say there's a restaurant, which I'm not going to lie, when I speak of you to people, I always say he's probably sitting at a winery, with like the best, prettiest food in front of him, with the most glorious. It's like a painting behind you, and I say I hate him for that. I don't really hate you. I do always ask you, can I join you on a trip? Which
Of
I do.
course.
I do ask, but anyway,
But that's the truth, though, because that's what it's like when you
it's
go to these
glorious.
places. Oh my gosh.
So, what part of when you're going somewhere new, what is what you want to what you're looking for when you go the most? Is it the picture, the experience, the wine, or the owner? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? What is it that you're, or is it the whole experience?
Well, of course, it's the whole experience. Where I begin is with wineries, and the wineries have to have tourism. You can't just walk into a winery and step up to the bar and taste some wine. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the full experience for my readers to be able to go do amazing things. You
Right.
know, and just to get way off track, but how about horseback riding through the vineyards?
No,
I
you're
have
right.
lots of that in my books. I'm always looking for that. And
It's
I
interesting.
work with tourism organizations and I work with winery associations, and I have them create my itineraries because they know their area better than I do. And I have them focus on wineries that have great wine and great tourism. They have to have great wine, great tourism. Those are
I love that.
two key elements. And then what follows from that, if they have great wine, they're going to have great food. That's going to come with it.
That's true. That's true. No matter what. No matter
And then I
what.
also look for accommodations where you can actually spend the night in the vineyard.
Oh, I
And there's a
know.
lot of that. And
Oh,
I find them.
that's really cool. So, truly, these books are so valuable for so many reasons. If you want to go somewhere, right, get the book. But also, it's a great book to have, especially for someone, for me, because I don't get to go, right? So I get to experience what you're experiencing, and you write about it so well. You do get the essence of each winery, and I do walk away with like, okay, if I go to California, like I was surprised. I said I want to go to Carmel, I don't know how to say it.
Carmel. Yeah.
Carmel. I want to go to Carmel because of the book. Whereas in my head, because of all that people speak of, Napa Valley would always be where I thought I would go. So what I love about your book is that it teaches you so much more about
Mm.
wine than you might think you know.
Well, thank you.
I mean, we
I
always think,
try to make it educational for
well, it
for
is.
the person just learning wine as well as the expert, because there's
Yeah.
so much to learn.
Oh, it's amazing. And it's also um very easily understood, like how you just said, vintner. You don't get lost in translation when you're reading
Mm.
it, right? Which is something I love about it, because you explain what you're talking about. And I love learning the new words. I love learning about the new wine, like the different wines I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So when my friends went to Argentina, I know we're leaving California, but when my friends went off to Argentina for their honeymoon and they brought me back 2 bottles of
Bottle of
Malbec,
Malbec. Yeah.
I about died when I smelt it, when I tasted it. Tell me, what is it about Malbec? What
So
is it?
Bordeaux
Bordeaux.
has 5 grapes. The two are most that we all know so well is the Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. But one of those 5 grapes is Malbec.
Oh,
And it has a very hard time growing in Bordeaux. And oftentimes, when a vineyard dies, they don't replant it with Malbec. They plant it with more Cabernet or Merlot or something like that. Well, when the Malbec went to Argentina, it's a totally different story. It
oh,
thrives. It
it,
really thrives. It's very different terroir. So think about it. I mean, Bordeaux is basically at sea level. It's got rivers running through. It's a much moist environment. In
interesting.
Argentina, in Mendoza, it's desert. And it's not just desert, it's high desert. It's up against the Andes Mountains. So, because of that elevation, that's how they're getting that hot and cold. And they get fresh water from the Andes year round. That's where the water comes
Oh,
from for irrigation. And
oh,
they just have the most incredible environment for Malbec. Here's what's incredible about how famous they become. Malbec has risen them to be the 5th largest wine country in the world. That's
you're
how big
kidding.
it is.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, it was very strange that they went there and like that's what they fell in love with, because they never heard of it. I never heard of it. And because they went to Argentina, now it's like what I
now
always
it's really
thought.
famous.
It was
And it
funny.
tastes completely different.
Oh
And
my god,
people grow Malbec here in California, but it doesn't taste the
it doesn't
same
taste the
as
same. It was
Argentina.
it was so funny. I went I met with a friend recently and for lunch, and we ordered a bottle of wine, and she liked white. I liked Malbec, red or Malbec, she hated red. So it was like, all right, let's get a white. So she chose, I said, you choose whichever bottle you want. So she chooses. So I say to the waiter, well, we're getting this, but I really wanted the Argentinian Malbec because you actually have it here, but it is what it is. She doesn't like red.
Or she doesn't like
This
red.
man, this
No.
man, this waiter brought the bottle of wine and a
Yeah.
glass of Malbec for me. And
Wow.
I was like, tip excellent, check. Like I died. I couldn't believe he did that. I thought that was the nicest thing.
That's great service.
No, it's great service, and also I hadn't been out in forever, so it was like the greatest gift because I was like, I'm not
Uh,
gonna get Malbec. Like, is this serious?
right.
Anyway, so that was wonderful. Um, so what is um if you're I think it's very interesting why the Malbec is different in different places. I never knew like the
The
water had anything
terroir.
to do with the terroir.
It's the terroir.
And everyone
And by
always
the way, because the dictionary doesn't say this, but I'll say it.
okay.
Terroir includes the people, because
Oh,
the people who are managing,
work in the land.
growing, and harvesting that vineyard are a critical component of the success. So think about it. You could take a winery that's been around for a long time and they make great wine, and then they sell the winery and new people come in. The wine's going to taste different because different people
They're
have
different
different
people.
ways of doing things. So the terroir is not just the soil and the weather and the climate, it's also the people.
So that's very interesting. How that was written somewhere. How do you can you spell that for me?
Terroir,
Yes.
Terroir.
Okay. So
Terroir.
that's
Terroir.
terroir. I love that. So that's a word that I need to write because I have a list of words that I love that are not used often. So
You know, in the very back of my book, I have what's called,
I know.
it's called definitions. See, oop,
I love it.
definitions. And not only definitions, look here, right here on the very beginning. These are different grapes that come from the different countries. And then terroir is going to be in there somewhere, right there. There's
Yeah, I
terroir
mean
right
you have
there.
pruning, tipping, leaf removal, clone,
Yeah.
Ava.
Because there's a lot of weird words. Like, what does toast mean? It's not the bread that you butter. You know, the toast is actually the burnt wood inside the barrels where they age the wine.
That's funny. And then like when we drink wine, we give toast, right?
Oh, and we toast there too, right? So there's those three very different kind of toasts, and they're all spelled the same.
Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Uh I love that. I love that you give the definitions in the back. I mean, your book is 100% nailed it. You know everything. Like you don't walk away. That's why I was like, he has to be a sommelier. Which I watched a movie about this, and I, of course, it was fiction, but I didn't realize how hard it was to become a sommelier.
it is hard.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's wow. The things you have to know is incredible, and when you do become one, now I know why they're at the top restaurants or wineries or vineyard. You know, they're at the top because they are the top of what their profession is, right?
Yes. You know, there's a whole range of levels for sommelier, and the top level is master sommelier.
Yes.
I think in the history of sommelierness, there's really only 100 or 200. I don't really know, but that's it. But there's a gentleman in San Francisco who has the San Francisco Wine School. If anyone's interested in learning about wines, his school is incredible. But he is a master sommelier and he's also a certified wine educator. And I think there's like only 4 people in the history of the world who have ever achieved both.
That's
He's
a,
a
I mean,
very interesting guy.
it's like the Olympics.
And he wrote the foreword to this California book.
Oh,
You know, I took his California Appalachian specialist course because I really wanted to be an expert at the Appalachians for California, which is what I really needed to do this book even better. And
right.
so I took that course with his school, and that's how I met him. And I asked him if he would write the foreword. Here, I've got here's part of the foreword, and where that's him right there.
Well, tell us some
But
of
you
it.
can see here, look, the forward is called The Magic of Terroir. So he's even talking
Terroir.
about the terroir of the different appellations in the central coast of California.
That's very interesting. So, read us a couple of lines from his forward.
Oh my gosh. He wrote a lot. So I'm trying to think
No,
what's
I
like
know, I
the
know, I know.
best thing he wrote. I know. Let's see here. Okay, hold on. Okay. Well, okay. So he talks about I'm trying to get okay. So the geography and geology are equally complex in the central coast of California due to their intersection of the Pacific and North American tectonic plates.
Tectonic plates.
Do you know what's fascinating? And I wrote about this somewhere else in the book. He's talking about it too. Is there's the North American plate.
Yes.
And that's like Canada, United States, Mexico. And like 100 million years ago, the Pacific plate, which was under the Pacific Ocean, came out of the ocean and hit the North American plate.
Sorry. You fell.
And you know what? That was perfect timing, because when the plates hit, it was a crash.
I mean, when I do something, I know how to do it right. That's so funny.
Yes.
Sorry
And
that
so
it fell.
that Pacific plate only has a sliver today that's above ground, and that sliver is the central coast of California, goes all the way down, including Baja California. And that's what he's talking about here. He says California has many volcanic mountains, uplifting coastal ranges, rivers, lakes, and former ancient seabeds on the coastal regions. As such, there are over 100 different soil variations in the state, with various combinations of sand, silt, loam, clay,
Man,
limestone, granite, iron-rich volcanics, and more. The Central Coast has all of these, creating very diverse soil, terrain, and temperature. And that's why you can grow all these incredible grapes, Italian grapes, French grapes, Spanish grapes. You can grow them in California, in the Central Coast, because of the variety. You put the right place for the right grape, and then you get
that's really cool.
excellence. And
That's
that
really cool.
and that's what he's talking about. I even have a map in here. By the way, I have something like 40 maps in my book, so that people can really find their way around and understand things.
I
Here
want
we
to
go.
point something out.
This
I,
is the North American and Pacific plate, and you can see here the Central Coast is right
oh.
here. The red part is above. It's hard to do that. You're right. I have to be underneath the book, don't I? But think about that. That soil came from deep, 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 deep in the ocean. It's
Right.
different soil than Napa and Sonoma.
That's
And and Napa and Sonoma are so famous, and that's where everybody knows about them. That's why I did this book,
that's
because
so
this
neat.
region does exceptionally great wine, top
Right.
level wine, great food, great tourism, spectacularly beautiful. Remember, it's along the coast. It's beautiful.
Yes, yes. I told you need to do a Long Island book.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not joking. Like, we have beautiful wineries, and I
Hmm.
realize now, I bet the water has something to do with it, because you have the ocean, and you have the sound, and you have bay, and you
Yeah.
have rivers. Like, there's all kinds of water all over the place. And then there's the North Shore wines, and then there's the South Shore wines.
And I'm sure it's
And
different.
yeah,
And I
they
don't
are.
really know it. I haven't really explored it.
Well, I'm saying you should, but
Okay.
I'm telling you something. She says she loves going to wineries. I do too.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they
I
are
I will.
interesting.
I'm going to say, when I first started drinking wine, before you're 21, when you're sneaking stuff,
Sneaking it, right?
I would always drink White Zinfandel.
Okay.
And I joke now that that's like the first wine, like, probably most people drink. And
Yeah.
then, for me, because then I felt like I was stepping up when I went into the red wines.
Hmm.
Um, my palate
Okay.
was changing. You know, um,
And it for everybody, it's changing. We
yes,
evolve.
exactly.
The more we
Like,
drink wine, the better the palate gets.
right, right. And I think that's very interesting. It's the same thing with, like, olives. Like, you couldn't eat olives when you were like 18, but then, like, all of a sudden you're eating them like filled with garlic or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's, I think, like, learning about wine, tasting wine, watching how your palate changes. And the cool thing about going to a winery when you could do tastings
Yeah.
is, or vineyard, which I didn't know there was a difference. Now I know. And in reading your book, I should have known. So I feel sorry about that. But when you're going for a tasting, it's a lot of fun when you all of a sudden you're like in love with something totally new. So
Yeah.
I was upstate New York with my cousin, and it wasn't a winery. It was I mean, it was a winery, it wasn't a vineyard.
Okay.
But they had a wonderful tastings. And I fell in love with a white wine, which I could not believe. I was in shock, and I don't know the name, but I bet my cousin would remember. But I remember, like, I talked about this forever, and I left with like 20 bottles of it. Like, I couldn't believe that I was in love with a white wine. So, like, you never know what you're going to love. So I say always give an opportunity to try the different wines.
You have to.
Yes,
Right,
you
because you
do.
discover new things.
Yes, and like I said, your palate changes. So something you
Yeah.
may not have liked. And also now I'm learning why things taste different in different places. So you
Right.
might not like it in one
Terroir.
place, but you like it in another. Like, for example, there's Pindar Vineyards out here on Long Island.
Okay.
And I love their Scarlet Red, which is a dessert wine, which normally, no, I would never touch. I don't like dessert wines. They're too thick, they're too sweet, but I love their Scarlet wine.
Hmm.
It's so delicious. And I do this when I was in college. I would have it delivered, like the Pindar
Wow.
Vineyard, delivers. It was so cool. Um,
That's
yeah,
great.
but anyway, so I could talk with you forever. We've been on for an hour, but I would like to say that Michael is going to be my guest that I could call upon and say, "Hey, do you want to do a show today?"
I'm always
So,
ready for you.
oh yeah, so I think that'll be a lot of fun, and
And
I think
there's so many great things to talk
that
about.
exactly. There's so
Food
many.
and cultures and people, not just the wine, but there's so many things. And I'm
Right.
constantly going to these places, so I can
I
share
think
with
it's
you whatever
fabulous.
you want.
Yeah, so I think it'll be great. We'll discuss different things, different times, and I think it'll be very interesting. And in the fact that I've read uh maybe not every single thing because they're so big. And that's the beauty of it, is that they are it is a book that you want to read the whole thing if you had the time, right? But like
But the
it can
California book is 436
well
pages.
that but that's what I mean. Like
It
it
takes
can
a
sit
while, but it's a
yes, it takes,
reference too.
but that's the beauty of it. It's like I love a really good what they call coffee table book. I don't know if that's what they call this, but that's what I call
This
them.
is a coffee table book. It's
Okay, so
beautiful.
it's beautiful. It's sit there. You can read what you choose to read, and it's like you're learning so much, and you really do get the desire to go to these places.
Yeah.
And if you are going to go, these books are necessary, and it's also a wonderful gift for anyone that you know that likes wine. These are wonderful gifts for those people, and I highly recommend them for birthdays and holidays, etc., or thank yous. We often
Yes.
forget thank yous. A
Right.
gift.
Well, it's a good gift because you may not know what wine someone wants to drink, but they're going to love this, because
Right,
it's
right,
got everything in there.
right,
And you know
right.
what? You were asking about those awards.
Yes.
So three of those awards came from the independent press. And so of those independent press awards, this book, California, was considered the best gift book of 2023.
Well, I mean,
Very good
well,
gift
I just
book,
want.
right? And
Okay, I'm just going to
but
say one thing.
I'll
I'm
tell you my
interrupting,
favorite award because it just
which
means a
is
lot to me is the best photography book of last year. The best photography book. There's a lot of
well,
great photography books.
yes, but I'm going to point one thing out, Michael. I am good at picking out a good book. Like I
Well, that's
literally
your
felt.
expertise.
Well, I literally.
It
I just
is.
want to say, like, I was like, this is a great gift book. His photography, you want to pull it out and put it in a frame. So I should be a judge for these things. Like,
You
really.
should. Well,
Uh,
I don't know where they get their judges, but I'll bet, really, you really should. They probably would, they should engage you.
I
Yeah.
should ask. I
Yeah.
mean, I should look into that because I do love looking for books that I find interesting and authors that I find interesting before they're invited out, or sometimes they ask first, but sometimes I invite, and then it's like the next thing you know, they're the Reese Witherspoon book, and it's hysterical because like we've waited all this time for the book to be published because during COVID things kept getting pushed. So
Hmm.
like I
Yeah.
was in touch with this author for like 3 years, and then it was like boom, it's the Reese Witherspoon book. So it's a lot of fun choosing books that I want to recommend to people, and I highly recommend all of them. But most recent is the California, but they're all so wonderful and for
Thank
so
you.
many reasons, even just for pure couch vacations,
Couch
right?
vacation. Yeah, right.
Yes, I think they're wonderful, and I really appreciate it, and I appreciate that you want to be a guest that I could call upon on a
You
day that
just
I
let me
feel
know,
good. I
whatever the
will.
topic is.
You're just so
We can
so
talk about
wonderful.
dogs, I mean, that's
I
another
know.
great topic. I'm an animal lover through and through.
I mean, yeah, me too. And I would like to say, I won that award. Did I tell you?
No, where
Oh
did you
my God.
win?
So,
You gotta
okay.
tell me.
All right. I won the Book Excellence Award in memoir
Are
as
you
a as
kidding me?
the honoree. So
That's
they only give
exciting.
first and second place. So that's really what it is. So I got second, but
Yeah, but that's a big deal because there's
I
thousands, tens of
that's what they
thousands of
said.
books that
They
have
wrote to me and
memoirs.
they said this is international. They
Yeah.
said this is one of the hardest genres because it's straight up memoir. It's
Yeah,
not a
that's
breakdown of it, you know?
yeah.
And I was like,
Congratulations. This
thank
is
you.
exciting. That's a
I
big
know.
deal.
I'm so honored. And, Lucid House entered me, which I'm so grateful to them for that. They brought my book to life, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm so grateful that somebody had the opportunity to read it and see the different, because they tell you why they choose it,
Hmm.
and it was for wonderful reasons, so it made me very excited. So it is fun to win these awards,
It is. Well, and
but
it's recognition that you've done a great job and other people see the quality of what you've done. It's a big
right,
deal.
right,
I think it's a big deal.
it
I did
really
not
is.
know that. So congratulations. Cheers. That's not exactly
Cheers,
wine, but
cheers,
cheers.
cheers. Thank you so much. It was such an honor, and it's been an honor speaking with you, and I look forward to the day where I can say this year I need to get 11, because
Yes.
I'm going to have a second and third book.
I can't wait to get 11. Once I get 11, you'll be the first to know
All right,
of
wonderful.
that.
And we'll announce it here. Well, thank
Okay.
you so much. And thank
Thanks,
you,
Annie.
everyone,
It's
for
always a
joining us.
pleasure.
All right, always a pleasure. And it's been a pleasure being over at your page today. I look forward to speaking with more of your fans over there.
Okay.
So, all
Thank
right.
you.
Have a
Soon.
wonderful day. All right, I'll
Mwah.
talk to you later. Bye bye.